Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting. So pledge allegiance, flags up here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we are missing Christine Kuzminski and Vanessa Matias is remote.
Here she is.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. I had a problem getting on. Sorry about that.
Did anybody hear from Christine at all?
No.
Okay. And Dan, did you see Christine trying to get on at all?
I do not.
Okay. Does it happen to tell you how many people are watching online at all for?
I am showing one, which is me.
Okay. I didn't know if she could have gotten on and was thinking that she was on there somehow. All right. Just, looking for any way for her to be taking part, but not being here.
So you're saying we're very important. Thank you.
Well, it just started, so usually.
Oh, yeah, they made commercial break.
I was going to say, we're in a commercial break
This was unscheduled until
this week. Well, it was
tentative.
tentative. Yeah. All right. So we want to do an approval for last week's minutes or let Matt go first?
You guys can do your business.
What's your agenda say?
The agenda was
Approve the
approval
minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
October 2nd.
Second.
All right.
You're a secretary again?
Yeah, I am. We'll discuss that.
Jim, do you want me to do it? Would
No,
that
I
help?
got it.
It's hard to run a meeting and do it.
I actually just got a little cheat sheet note thing.
All right,
and,
you're good. Okay, good.
can bang it out pretty quick.
Yeah, great.
So, okay, so we're voting. Mary?
Yes.
Chris? And-
Yes.
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 Yes,
All right.
we
Unanimous.
got Vanessa.
Oh, sorry.
Do
Vanessa.
we have to do
I think
because
I-
she's remote? Is it different than school board? Because school board, you have to call each person's name. Is that different for school board and FIDCOM? I know on school board, we have to say each person's name when there's somebody remote.
Yeah, I failed to do that. So anyways, yes, we have Mary Sear, Rick Edelman, Ann Collier, Jim McCarthy, Cheryl Gannon, Maura Bashaw attending in person, and Vanessa Matias is attending remote.
I'm in on the vote though.
Oh. Okay.
That's good too. You probably should have done that.
Well, I think when it ends up being unanimous, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vanessa, I forgot that you were there.
that's okay. I think I have to abstain anyways because I wasn't at the last meeting. So
Okay.
So she's abstaining. not-
All right, she's abstaining. Okay.
Who made the motion to accept?
Mary did. Oh, motion was
Annie
made by
did.
Annie, Mary.
I
seconded.
did. Mary seconded. Yeah.
All right, so those are approved. And now we are handing this over to Matt.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Angel. I'm the school business administrator, and I'm doing follow-up questions from the budget committee. And the first item, we got to wait for it to come up on the screen.
Do we have that in our drive?
Yes, so that copy that was sent out,
It was sent.
you should have had access to it
If
right
you-
along.
If you sign on to your Google account and then go to the shared drive.
Yep.
I believe it pops up right there, right at the bottom of your monitor, right at the bottom of your screen. You might have it.
But it was not routed via email, correct? Is it
Yeah, I
in
didn't see an email with it.
Planning or?
You should see it. It says copy of the 2022, 2023 budget questions.
That, going forward, when there is a document
Oh,
that's
this
put
one?
in Drive, can we get an email notifying us that? Because on budget committee, it isn't like the school board where they need to check all the time because there's always something.
Okay.
Here, it's just when there is something.
Okay, I didn't create this document.
There you go.
Yep.
It was created by the budget committee. And then it came to me as an email.
Mhm.
So,
So that's for the chair, maybe?
do you
Yeah.
want me to, I can share it out again if you want, so it shows up in your email.
I think we all know right now,
Okay.
and that's fine, but when there is a document, can either you or Matt or whoever's doing it send an email or share it via email so that we all know that there's something there?
Yeah, I didn't realize that he even had sent it until I didn't know it was.
No, I didn't. I received the email and I just started pumping in answers into the document that I received.
Okay. So if you just say share with the budget committee, then we'll all get it.
It's already, if you look at this in
We'll
the
get an email.
sharing,
though.
I noticed that everybody's already been shared on it. All the budget committee members are shared in it.
But the document was not sent to us, is what Annie said.
Yeah,
What she's saying is we were not notified that it was there in the shared file.
yeah.
And we don't go in every day like the school
No.
board does. We have,
Right.
I know in your, go ahead. I know in your account settings, there's a little checkoff box that you can click off that says, give me an email notification every single time a new email is added to these folders. And it will automatically send you that.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, that's good.
thank you.
Thank you.
When things are shared in the drive, they'll show up.
Sorry?
When
When
some,
things are posted to the shared
Ooh,
drive, you're saying?
I just got a pop-up
This
notification.
should be, I'm assuming this is
That's
in
because he
the,
just shared it.
in the Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay. I know that you have access to it because you're on the list. If not, we can try to resend it.
This shared drive.
so
Huh.
it should pop up on here.
It's probably popped up before and I just ignored it as like a pop-up ad. Like I probably just closed it.
Okay, so it's
that
going to show
really?
up in your email now. All right, so the original question dealt with one-time federal grant money related to COVID grants. We provided a listing of all the grant information, and we provided a link here. And the follow-up question is I looked at the link, but I'm still having difficulties understanding some of the expenditures. What do the acronyms mean and the implications? Can this document be explained more fully to obtain an exchange of questions or for an exchange of questions? So CARES stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security. ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan. ESSER stands for Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief. And the SPSRF fund is the Supplementary School Response Fund. Additional details about the ESSER 3 are in the next question. Okay.
So I was the one who wrote this. So what we have in here are amounts received and expended. And some of the things are like, what is Panorama Survey subscription?
Oh, those.
$5,000.
Yeah. Okay. So Panorama, the surveys that we send out to parents
Okay.
that helped us kind of guide our policies related to COVID. We had to pay for a service to collect that data, to
Okay.
send out those questions and collect the data. And that was paid for through a federal grant.
And what is the technology? $111,000 in technology in that?
Which one are you on?
Cares.
CARES effort? The second tab I went to. Yeah,
That would be Chromebooks.
What about the computers that were bought for teachers? Where were those from?
Wow. Boy, that was a long time ago.
So were the
They were,
Chromebooks.
yeah, but they were bought out of a different grant.
Were they bought out of a
They were-
grant or were they bought out of the technology fund from the rentals?
I think they were bought out of a second grant because I think I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Okay.
Okay, so I believe that those were about $120,000.
Yeah.
And so I would have to go search for it.
Okay.
That was over a year and a half ago.
Under SPSRF, it says 150 teacher laptops,
Uh-huh.
106,350.
Okay, thank you.
Oops.
and then the CRRSA. TC classroom libraries. What does TC mean?
Oh, I don't know what TC stands for.
Student Data Analysis Committee.
Yeah, so basically we had to have a committee get pulled together. So that was the salary costs as it relates to those committee.
So this has to do with COVID. They were doing some analysis.
All of these grants are, yeah. So if we had a meeting that dealt with trying to figure out how to operate the school district in the COVID environment, all those costs are reimbursable.
Matt,
Okay.
my guess on TC is Teachers College.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Teachers College.
Teachers College Reading and Writing Project, classroom library.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah, Tom uses, I think that's like the program. I always hear Tom say that. That sounds right.
And then math materials.
Yeah, so a lot of the, I don't know exactly what that is off the top of my head, okay? I wasn't prepared to answer individual expenditure line items, but this would, most of this would relate to having to convert our programs from a paper-based program to an online-based program if you're trying to teach in a remote environment.
Okay. So that kind of was my question about all of these. Are these, because math materials, obviously we use math materials every day. So this is something above and beyond what is typically used in the classroom or was budgeted in the regular budget. So was there anything that you know of that was purchased by the grant money instead of using the budget money, or was that even possible?
No, that's illegal.
So
That's
these are
illegal
in
under,
addition to
Yeah.
regular,
Yeah,
like
you-
if we were buying Chromebooks, that was in the budget. That could not be paid for by the grant.
that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so let me give you, this is a good segue because you need to understand this concept. The word is called supplanting. Okay, you cannot supplant local funds with federal funds.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
And if there's anything left over that we haven't spent with this grant money, what happens to that?
It goes back to the feds.
Okay.
Okay, so these are all reimbursement-based grants. I want to be clear with that. It's not money that we receive up front. However, one of them, we receive the money up front. Normally, a federal grant is we spend the money out of our own pocket, and then we ask for reimbursement afterwards. Okay. One of the first, the SRF fund came in two different pools. The first pool was an automatic $200 per student. And then if we could document expenditures above the $200, we could ask for more funds, which I documented another like 500 something thousand dollars and was able to get like 79% of that reimbursed. Okay. So, and that's the second pool. And we had to spend those funds first and get reimbursed later. Okay.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
All right. The next question, this deals with plans to evaluate the future needs of the open grants that we currently have and how we can spend those funds. We pretty much said that the funds are to be spent. Is this the one we were devising? So we're doing a plan on how we're going to spend these funds because we have authorization to spend additional funds that have not yet been spent. Okay. And so the follow-up question is I looked at this document and only saw funds and only funds I saw specified was an amount of $992,805.92 as the total allocation. It seems that many of these plans were similar to the interventions that were already routinely done. NEWA, New Hampshire SAS sum assessments, professional development for teachers, free and reduced lunch, English as a second language, ESOL. I forgot what that stood for. Especially, what? No, that's ESL.
Oh.
Special education. How will you determine how much funding is needed for additional services above and beyond what is done in a typical school year? This document also says that 100% of the funds will be administered under school leadership discretion. Will there be any type of oversight in how the funds will be spent other than the current practice of approving expenditures? And the answer is this, and I kind of touched a little bit on it. So all of the federal grants from the U.S. Department of Education have rules, requirements, and laws that must be followed in order to maintain in good standing with the Department of Education and to continue to receive grant funding. Some of these requirements are found on the New Hampshire Department of Education website, and this is linked right here. And there's a federal fund fact sheet. Okay, I'm just going to quickly open it up so you can see it. And this goes into how all the requirements that we have to follow, each one of these things for expending federal funds. All right. So please do read that. That's great information. Okay. So none of the grant funds may be expended until the New Hampshire Department of Education signs off on the activities entered for the grant, which must also align with stated purposes. The allowable activities for the SR3 ARP grant are located on this website. And this, I believe, is also linked to the state's website. And this is how this fund can be spent. Okay.
That's very helpful to have that link. Thank you.
Additionally, the district must, on a yearly basis, sign and accept at a school board meeting the general assurances, which is a document that the federal government requires us to do. And this is a document right here that describes what the general assurances are. Okay. Which this document binds the district to the laws, regulations, and rules and regulations of the grants. The district accepted the assurances on May 19th, 2021 meeting, or at the school board meeting of May 19th. The district's ESSER ARP survey results are posted on our website, and there's a link to the website here. And so there's survey results is this second link right there. Okay. We will use this information as well as student achievement data to determine how to allocate the grant funds from the U.S. Department of Education. Okay. So basically we have some data that we can compile, and then we can take the federal funds and target it to special programs in order to get the students up to speed for learning losses that occurred because of remote learning or the COVID environment. All right. The next question dealt with the new intervention program, and the follow-up question, which is a good question, and I'm going to use this as an advertisement plug. Have all of the positions been filled? Not all the positions have been filled. Okay. We have actively sought applicants for these positions. However, the current status is as followed. At Bakey, one position's been filled. We have 4 vacancies. No positions at Memorial. We have 3 vacancies. No positions at middle school. We have 3 vacancies.
Wow.
Question. It was my understanding that we had vacancies for the paraprofessionals to work in intervention. Are you saying they're also the interventionist teacher?
These are all, they're all
filled?
in the budget. They're all paraprofessionals.
Not 930,000 of them are intervention teachers in the budget too.
I'm in the understanding that they're all paraprofessionals. Okay, and there is talk
I believe
internally.
That's not correct.
Okay, and we're talking internally about collapsing some of the positions to fund teachers because we just can't find people. Okay, so we have, here's my plug. We have multiple job opportunities with the district. If anyone is interested, please visit our website at sau17.org. then click here. I'll just show it since I have it up on the screen. So sau17.org, on the quick links right here, click on employment. Then click on all jobs, and listed here are all the open jobs in the district. What you'll find is if there's something that says interventionist teacher, it's only listed there once. However, we have multiple positions open. Okay. So we have a lot of positions open.
What's the RBT, paraprofessional?
RBT, I should know that. That is a stipended position that we've paid in the last couple of years, and it really deals with a special program that we have to do.
Registered behavior therapist?
That sounds right.
That was a guess.
Okay, so it's my understanding that, and I may be wrong, but I have a pretty good retention for these things. We had one of each of a teacher, interventionist for math and for English in each of the schools.
Yeah, it's right there.
That was, no, that.
Then what, teachers versus
No, that
paras
isn't
though?
just
One
there.
math?
What's there, and then we also had paraprofessionals who were to aid those
Yeah, that kind of,
teachers in implementing the intervention program.
Yeah.
It's my understanding, and I know that at the high school, there are at least two interventionists. I don't know what the status is of the teaching intervention, but I think it would be really important to clarify
Okay.
exactly where that stands,
Well,
so that we understand what's going on, and so that we understand when we vote for the support staff contract too,
okay.
what the needs are for the paraprofessionals.
For our teacher positions, we're actually doing okay. I'm just saying, okay, we're surviving. For our substitutes, we're not surviving. And however, that's another plug.
But this one
These are-
says the following positions are covered in the intervention program. So it's, these 6 teachers are the intervention teachers, correct?
Or paraprofessionals.
oh,
Yes,
yeah, I
Six
see what you're
teachers
saying.
for
Cheryl. It does break
intervention.
out teachers versus paras.
And
I see
11
what- I see what you're talking about.
So
Cheryl.
I filled this in this morning, and this was updated information I got this morning from the HR department. Okay, so
Is that something?
I'll apologize if I'm missing information that this committee was looking for.
Yeah, I understand. I understand kind of part of what the question is. Is that filled position a teacher position or
It's a para
No, these
or
are
position.
all-
para?
Those are all paras.
I think these are all
That adds
paraprofessionals.
They're
up
all
to-
paras.
Okay, so none of the teaching positions are covered then.
He
All
isn't
the
putting them
teaching
in.
positions, I believe, are covered.
Okay, the
and
teaching
paras
ones are
not.
covered. Okay.
And the paras starting pay is $13 an hour. Plus they get great benefits. So here's a plug. Paras get great benefits. They get great health insurance. 89%, I think, is the coverage of what they get paid for. Family, single, whatever it is. And they get retirement to build. So the pay isn't great, but there is a contract in negotiation, so that could change. And in the meantime, there's a tremendous need. And I've seen paras and I've worked with them and I've subbed with them. And it's a blast a lot of the
Yeah.
time working with these kids. So
Okay.
here's my plug.
Okay, the reimbursement rate for the health insurance.
Blast. I've never
paras
heard
is
it called a
88%.
blast.
Subs I know are needed too.
Yes.
Subs get astronomical pay for what we do. But no benefits. So that's just to be clear. If you want to get benefits, become a para. But
You'll have a blast.
yeah, and you'll have a blast. You will.
No fun for the substitutes.
Okay.
Substitutes are fun too. Just no benefits.
Yeah, thank you, Annie, for substituting. I want to make sure that's said publicly.
Yeah.
We're glad.
There are a
They
lot
have-
of substitutes and I know there's a need for more and we all just want to keep the school open.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So the next question dealt with the athletic department budget assessment. Pretty much the original question asked about accurate reporting and forecasts for this department. And then they had a follow-up question. Can you explain what has caused the need to use coach buses, how often they've been used, approximately the cost between the school bus and the coach buses, and if any other options have been discussed? I'll I'm just going to kind of answer this right off the cuff. All right. There's a narrative down below. We have a bus driver shortage. If you know anyone who can drive a bus or who wants to be trained to drive a bus,
Please.
okay, we'd love to have them sign up to be a bus driver. Okay. Right now, we do not have enough bus drivers to drive students to, so as a result, we have to hire coach buses. And it's almost, you know, like, I think the price is down here. It's something like $400 for a regular bus, and it's $1,000 for a coach bus. All right,
Per game or per trip?
per trip.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say as a parent, I know that Dawson will email the parents to see if like people can drive. So the school is trying to figure out other ways, you know what I mean? But it's difficult, you know what I mean? It's been down to the wire for busing for these kids and trying to combine them on busing and doing whatever they can do to get them there. So
It's even gotten to the point where I've okayed the athletic director to rent SUVs to drive teams to locations. Okay. The problem is we have federal regulations that we have to follow. And when you get up over a certain number of students in a vehicle, those regulations kick in. Okay. So we have to be very careful of the size of the vehicles we rent. However, we are talking about trying to lease 2 like mini buses. They're going to become athletic buses, and then also used for student activity purposes, like transporting students for day field trips and so on. Okay. This would also require changing a school board policy about employees driving students. So, and we are actively coming up with internal solutions that we're going to be presenting to the school board to come up with options, because busing in the district is a problem. Okay. I have 2 questions. Oh,
Go ahead.
I just think it's important to make note that although we're here and focused on SAU 17, the busing shortage and the substitute shortage and the cafeteria shortage and the para shortage are not exclusive to us. It's happening across the country, particularly in southeastern New Hampshire. Everybody is under the gun. There's a crunch everywhere.
yes.
I think it's important for those who are watching at home to know it's not just us.
That's really important. I assume that you're looking at vehicles that don't require some sort of special kind of license to drive. That kind of-
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and we got to be careful even about the vehicles, like Sprinter vans. They are not allowed because it's the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, and they have a list of vehicles that we can use for school purposes and a list that we cannot use.
Wow.
And a lot of schools have been out renting Sprinter vans, and they're on the do not use list.
Because they're not safe, or
You know, I don't know.
What's the
Flag.
prognosis?
it was.
What's the prognosis for getting driverless buses and vans out
Oh,
there?
it's not. I'd be afraid to put students in a driverless bus at this point right now. Yeah.
We have your, we need you. Take care of yourself.
Yeah. It's not perfect. Okay. All right. So the next question within this question is, how many additional staff have been hired to supervise players and fans and the cost? So far for outdoor, there are no costs. However, when we get into the indoor sports, it's going to be roughly about $75 per game. Okay. The next question within this question is how do the numbers of teams and number of players participate in this year compared to previous years? What other sports are anticipated and have been asked for? How many for boys? How many for girls? The answer is our numbers are down from prior years at the high school level, although the comparison to year is difficult as last year was obviously impacted by COVID. We struggle this year with to field the JV team for boys and girls soccer. We had only 4 full-time JV players in the field hockey, and our cross-country team only had 14 member boys and girls combined. This is a significant reduction. Football has 49 student athletes, but a significant number do not participate in games as they're learning how to play the game safely. A ripple effect of being no local youth program. At the middle school level, the lack of participation by 6th graders combined with the impact of local youth leagues, Seacoast United for one, pinching off our players at that level has cut our teams and team sizes. We normally would have had 2 field hockey teams. We had 19 players this fall total. 2 boys soccer teams, we had 12 boys participating, and a girls team, we had 2 girls playing alongside the boys. Cross country is smaller with 18 athletes. We've had repeated requests to develop a lacrosse program for boys and perhaps girls. This may be difficult to achieve, and if we do so, field such a team, it will have an impact on other sports. Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very much.
Thanks, Matt.
These are good questions and good clarifying information.
Yeah, thank you for letting me put in a plug.
Feeling pressure to drive a bus.
I can see Mary out there.
Be a school bus driver?
L to the no. I can't imagine driving a bus.
Oh, Vanessa texted me, her internet crashed or whatever.
Oh, dear.
Looks like my internet crashed. Gonna see if I can reboot router. So,
Maybe she was going to apply for a bus job.
I could see she was just revving to go.
looking for everybody. Serving food. Okay.
I keep chuckling, thinking of myself driving a bus. It's comical.
All right, so next on the agenda would be, you're all set, right, Matt?
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you,
very much,
Matt.
Thank you, everyone. Great questions. Okay. Have a great evening.
Thanks,
You
you
too.
too.
Review the budget committee guidelines. Current status?
I think they changed them, right? From what I understand.
We were going to focus on specifically filling a vacancy.
Yes.
And in the time that I was waiting for Rick to take a stab at it, the school board got notification from the New Hampshire School Board Association that we needed to update our policy on filling vacancy. And it applied to both school board and budget committee, and that it was to include the at-large member
Yep.
in the process.
Hey, Mary.
Thank
Well,
you. For
not,
Yeah, actually,
not just me, but whoever fills the at-large
Yeah.
position.
Right.
no, it
You
just,
know?
it cuts down any questions. You know, like part of the reason of asking for our subcommittee to do that was generated by the fact that
Right.
we didn't have any written procedure, but now that's taken a huge chunk out of it. And I did get that. I read it and I totally forgot all about it.
So who decided that?
Well, I can
Okay,
tell you,
now.
I submitted the proposed legislation to some of our representatives 2 years ago and then again this past year, because I really felt that it needed clarification one way or the other before we had a court case to decide it. And the legislature, our New Hampshire legislature passed it and the governor signed it. So that's where it came from.
So do we have to, this sounds probably silly, but do we need to vote on putting it into our policy? Even though it's a state policy?
We would
Or are we not at
make
that point yet?
reference to this HB 2-FN-A local final version, page 156, in our,
Do we need to vote that we
I
want to
will
put it
say-
in like that?
The budget committee is governed by RSA 32, which
Okay.
applies to municipal budget committees. So we fall under that realm and jurisdiction. However, we have always followed and adopted and held captive by the practices of our school board. So while we, as a budget committee, have always included the at-large member, in 2017, there was some scuttlebutt about the at-large member should not be included. And there were a couple of incidents where the at-large member, both for the school board and most recently on the budget committee, have been excluded because they said that there was precedent set. And I don't know if it was by our district or by another district. It was just a legal opinion. So to answer your question, it is the law. We need to abide by the law. I don't think it could hurt to make a
Yeah,
motion.
does it
to
say that in our
adopt-
guidelines?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it could hurt to make a motion to adopt the new,
Do we know what the new RSA number is?
yeah, it's on the documentation.
I'll send it to everybody.
It's the same RSA. It's a sub
Is it 671?
Can I make a motion to adopt the RSA?
as written or as updated.
I don't know what the RSA number is, but
It's 671:30, is it?
Can't remember,
I don't have my machine here.
but I think it is 671.
It is.
It's not mentioned here in the very beginning.
It's on the top of the document that Tom sent.
Vacancies, chapter 91, section 38, 318. No, it's not here. So,
Are you looking at the actual document that he sent as an
Yeah.
attachment?
yeah. So it's HB2 budget omnibus 2021 vacancies, chapter 91, section 318.
It's in the email that I sent to you and Tom after the school board meeting last week. It'll say 671 colon, and I apologize, I don't have my,
Oh, RSA 671 colon 33.
there it is.
so can I make a motion to adopt RSA 671:B into our policy?
I'll second.
Okay. All right.
Discussion?
Cheryl's gonna-
Cheryl.
I make a friendly amendment and say, and to include in our budget procedural guidelines that the member at large will be included on the committee. I mean, we have to adopt.
That, right.
Right.
I
So-
think
Makes it clear
adding
so
that
that
language
has to
to
read it.
our procedures would be really helpful. So people don't have to go looking up the.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll second that amendment. Is that the right thing to
Will you
say?
accept
right,
it?
so-
Whatever, I'll accept it also.
I'll accept your amendment.
I would like to just make a statement that I think the reason that the original's legislation didn't cover that is that most districts aren't cooperative like we are with members at large.
Mm.
So whatever framers came up with the language didn't even consider our situation.
Mhm.
And there've been divergent legal opinions on both sides of the issues. And that's why I asked our legislators to, just settle
Clarify
it. Just
One way or
settle
the
it.
other, just
Yeah.
spell it out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the opinion was that it doesn't really specify, so don't try and push the envelope
Right,
because you might get sued.
right,
So
Yeah.
it's really good that they did decide to specify that.
yeah.
All right. So Maura made the motion to incorporate that or to reference the RSA 32, RSA 671 colon 33. And Annie second. Then Cheryl made a secondary motion to that
Secondary.
Friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment.
friendly amendment. Okay.
To spell it out, to
Include
include
the language
the
of
at-large member
at-large members
in the process of,
on the committee.
In our vacancy process.
you never did send an email, did you? 'Cause I looked and I didn't see one.
All right. So that's.
I thought last we spoke, you were going to pull the RSA, send it to me. I was going to put it in a spreadsheet, send it back to you to review. That's what we discussed.
Yeah, okay, I thought you said you'd take a stab at it and you'd send it to me.
Yeah, you were going to send me the RSA,
Okay,
and I was going to take a stab at it, put it into a,
All right.
document. and send
all
it
right.
back.
Well, good.
So I want to
All right.
We
thank
have a
you.
fresh start now.
We want to thank you both for stepping up to being willing to do this anyway.
You're welcome for me doing
Yeah.
that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, but at least you were willing.
All right, so the two of you will have the
Yeah.
hash that out and.
Yep.
Do you want to call a vote?
Yes. So, Mary?
Yes,
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 it's
And
Vanessa.
Vanessa-
No,
not here.
Vanessa. Okay. So, yes. Vanessa. What do we do? Do we put her down as abstain?
Actually, she's just absent. She's no longer here. So
All
you
right, so we'll just.
probably want to say that she disconnected at 7:30.
12 minutes ago. Yeah, we'll say Vanessa disconnected at 7:30. And she just texted me now and said she can't get her stuff straightened out. Where are you? Left.
It was an act of God.
Imagine how that was for kids trying to learn remotely.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that's over.
I think my kid went and broke my router on purpose so he didn't have to do it. All right. Okay, recording secretary discussion. I had gone through that list like I told you the last time. I got a couple of exchanges with one potential applicant, and then she later informed me after I gave her our schedule that there were too many conflicts with her current position as recording secretary for one of our neighboring towns. So she would not be available. I had ran into another possible resource last weekend, I believe it was last weekend, and I've since been in contact with her and she's not interested in it either. So it's still out there. So I guess next is local town Facebook pages to see if we can get anybody to take care of that. So that'll be the next step on that would be
Is there an
Facebook.
age requirement?
I don't believe so. You just have to be of working age.
We ask anybody in the high school?
I was actually thinking of that. If there's anybody that's in any of the economic classes or anything like that, or anybody that's in the
Or
They
just
all,
ask,
they all take English.
or just take guidance, ask guidance. They might have a list of kids who are looking for opportunities.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Also, I think it might be good to say, would it be okay with the committee if we allowed the secretary to do their work by using the remote, by using the recording?
Oh, I could definitely get
Instead
that.
of asking
Right.
one of the kids to come, or whoever it is to come here.
I could have that filled tonight.
The
Literally,
the
I
only
could
thing
have-
I'll say to that though is it was very difficult with the masks. What I know for Phyllis on school board, it was really difficult for her to see who was motioning first and second. She had a hard time doing that with the masks on. That I think that just would be my concern. I agree that but I wonder I think we would be better if we're able to get like a high school student, which I don't know if it's allowed. Can we pay a student? I don't know how that works, but I think to have somebody in person, because every once in a while a question does pop up.
Yep.
I think if we can't, I would completely agree that. You look at
And
that.
I have an idea. The student representative to the school board gets a scholarship
Mhm.
from the school board. They don't get a salary, but maybe we could vote on some sort of a scholarship. Not as much as a school board person because, representative, because there's not as many meetings, but maybe we could vote on what would be a comparable pay scholarship for,
A very good idea.
How does that work? Where's that money come from?
from our budget.
So
Oh, okay, so we have a budget.
Because
that
we have a budget to pay a recording secretary.
Yeah.
So,
$5 an hour.
but I don't know, we'd have to ask Matt, so I'm not sure we could do it. We'd have to ask Matt if that would be a different line item and if it would be permissible.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So it's something to think about maybe.
So, and getting back to what you were saying about the not knowing who made motions and seconded them, that's why I've been saying it again after, so
Mhm.
that I know myself when I go back and watch this again. And when the previous recording secretary was doing it, if she ever asked, I could be able to turn around and say, yes, that was, that's how it unfolded right there.
That's a good point.
All right, so possible school option and Facebook and the remote. I could go on to that online format. It's called Upwork, and they have everything from, people who will pack letters for you. You mail them whenever you want to have packed stamps. They'll do it all the way up to, $200 an hour attorneys, anything in between, $1,000 engineers and all that kind of stuff.
Well, so in order of priorities, we're talking about this.
Mhm.
I really like Rick's idea of going to the high school and also, Mary's
Gladys.
of, talking to guidance to see, if there's someone. I do think we need to clarify with, and would ask the chair to please clarify whether we can pay a student, whether that's available.
Yep.
And also if not, or as an alternative, is it possible for us to create a scholarship instead? Because I'd really love to have a student do it instead of,
Yeah.
somebody else. I think it'd be great.
Cheryl?
If we did get a student, would we want to see like a writing sample before? I've been secretary at these meetings. It's not easy. And I've also seen some writing of some high school students, and they've applied for scholarships. And I don't want somebody to come and then have it not work out and then have to say, we can't use you.
Well,
So I would, if we could maybe see a sample of their writing ahead of time, or if they've done something like this before, like be a secretary for a club. I just don't want to just take anybody. This is just
Right.
too important a job.
one of the criteria that I wanted to do, if we had a bunch of people going for the job, was to turn around and ask them to write up the minutes for our April 4th meeting. I think that was in the very beginning of this year when we all got back together here with all the new members for kicking off. When we voted in the chair, vice chair, to have them do that. So that
Hard
would
to
be-
have them do that for a job application without paying them. I don't, that's a tough one. It's kind of a tough barrier of entry. I mean, basically they've got to spend an hour and a half or so listening to the thing, then they got to write it up and, and they're not getting paid.
It might also be illegal.
Pardon me?
It might be illegal
Yeah.
to have someone do a job.
And while I love the idea of finding a student or somebody
vetting through the people.
in-house to do it, my concern with minutes, and even the first time I did them as a member of the committee, like I was very detailed and it was like, no, it needs to be at a surface level and, summary level. So it might take some training too for somebody to be able to do this effectively.
Yeah, so right now we have no one, right?
We've Jim.
So sounds like, all valid concerns. I would just say they're high school kids, if it doesn't work out, life is full of a lot of heartbreaks, and things that don't work out. It's not going to be the worst lesson, but if somebody applies, I don't think it's going to be illegal for them to do some work, to see like a writing sample.
Right.
I don't know, an hour and a half.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a writing sample certainly seems to make sense. Yeah.
So maybe a portion of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea. I love the idea of the
Scholarship.
Scholarship. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Can we continue with the same subcommittee of who was in charge of, as Christine and you maybe, of finding the secretary? I mean, can we grant you the authority to
Higher.
do this as, I mean, if we trust that, school first, if you can make it happen, otherwise remote, like, can we allow you guys to do this without us having to interject at?
Yeah, that would be
That was-
Christine and I. and-
Okay, it was you, okay.
Yeah.
Can we allow the two of you to make the decision?
And Christine.
And
Yeah.
Christine,
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Yes.
that way we don't all
That was the plan the whole
Yeah.
time.
So can we go back?
You
to
guys
that?
have come up with such great ideas,
Yeah.
so now.
Okay.
We'll
But
have
we
it
can,
figured
we
out by
can
the
go
last
back
meeting.
to,
We advertise in the Carriage Town also?
We had, yes. We can rerun it.
I mean,
I'll have
yeah,
it rerun.
I just don't want to only put it in Facebook.
Step one. Okay, sounds like guidance counselor, right? And Matt.
Well,
Guidance
yeah,
counselor,
Matt,
Yeah.
and then guidance, right?
Okay. All right.
And are you taking that as a to-do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So we beat that done. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I for one really want to hear from the public tonight.
Okay. We're down to public comments now. And same crickets. All right. And now committee comment.
I have one. We have had a lot of really, really great verbiage about where we're going and how things are changing and how we're assessing what's worked, what hasn't worked. It's my understanding that the administration is very actively assessing students, special ed, and teachers for effectiveness and helping everybody to just get to the next level and everything. And I am so ready to move from just great verbiage to implementation. So I'm really looking for some of that. And I'm hoping that the presentation next week for the recommended budget that the superintendent and his administration has really gives us some meat about what's being done from implementation. We're spending $36 million. I want to know how that's improving the educational results for kids.
Cheryl?
I'm
Right.
gonna kind of look for tomorrow for some input on this too. But I watched the last school board meeting and there was talk of moving the 6th grade up into the high school and opening up space in Bakey for pre-K.
Universal pre-K.
Yeah, so
And which would push 3rd grade to Memorial.
yeah, so I'm not sure on that, but I'm wondering, is that something that the school board is hoping to do in the next fiscal year?
well, the school board has not had a vote on that yet, so I don't know what the outcome is going to be. It was determined that last week's meeting was to listen to what the public had to say, listen to the presentation. So a decision hasn't been made. So whether if it happens next year or the year after, so none of that has been decided, but I can say that it's all still actively being talked about and that type of thing, but there's no decision timeline or whether or not it happens.
It has to be talked about. Biden, I think, if you listen today, right? and
Yeah.
That's still on the agenda. And there's no chance that's coming off. You could probably just about as good a chance as him donating to Trump 2024. So universal pre-K is not coming off that agenda.
No.
So the school board's going to have to deal with it and talk about it and plan for it
Right.
eventually.
Right. It's the timing is all that's a
Yeah,
question. so.
I
absolutely.
was just wondering if we were going to be seeing it in the budget that we're going to.
I don't think so.
Not this
Okay,
budget.
so, all right, just, okay, if I come back, I believe that he's going to put into the budget, a line item for an assistant principal at the middle school. So I think part of what his original thought was if we could make a decision on Wednesday, that way they could put it into the budget. That was, my understanding, that was really kind of the original thought process was if we're going to do it for next year, he wanted it to be in the budget. So obviously we didn't make a decision on that. So my understanding, I think he's going to put the assistant principal in there, but I think that they realize that they're going to have to be more flexible. And he, in his packet, he also did put in like some line items, like if we have to build another bathroom, I think he had a budget of 220,000. So I don't think that anything other than the assistant principal position will be in the budget that is presented to us. And if he does, I think he'll make it perfectly clear
Right.
that that is in there in the event that it moves. I don't believe that there's going to be anything else in there in the budget that pertains to it.
I forgot one item. Matt and I had discussed the public hearing for January 13th is on a Thursday. And if we happen to have a snow date on that, we don't have anything planned to follow up after that. So that would put us onto a Friday, which nobody's going to be here for, or I forget exactly what it was that he said, but we wouldn't be able to turn around and have the meetings and everything ready for Friday. So the proposal was to back up our public hearing for the proposal of the 2022-2023 budget to January 11th, which is the Tuesday of that same week. So
With Thursday being the snow
with,
date?
yeah, with Thursday being the snow date.
I believe it's President's Day weekend or something like that that he was saying,
Yeah.
right?
So do we want to have a motion on that and vote, discuss it? Any?
I'll make a motion that we amend our budget calendar to do the public hearing on the 11th with a snow date of January 13th.
I'll second that.
Okay. And discussions?
Nope.
No? Okay, vote. Mary?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
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 All right. Okay, so that wraps up. Oh, committee comment was done, and then that wrapped up that last item that I forgot to get out earlier. So motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Okay, second.
I bet that's unanimous.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.